mean. Say the truth, we can question what you've seen. Mind over me, I'll break free from the mold. Trap rap revolution, we taking control. No more puppet strings, we standing tall. With everyone that speak, I'll make them all fall.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Let's Talk Live here on the LTL Media channel. It's Friday night, and we just got through day 4 of the Karen Read verdict watch, and what a day it was. Very emotional, up and down, and we're going to tell you all about it today. It was really cool because I drove into court early. I got there about 7:30, and I did not plan this. It was crazy. I pull into a parking spot next to the courthouse, and there's an SUV right in front of me. And I get out of the car, and then all of a sudden, Jess gets out of her car, and she's like, "Whoa, speak of the devil." And I was like, "Hey, I haven't seen you in like a little while because you've been busy." So her and I got to talking for about, I don't know, a good 20 minutes, half an hour today. And we had planned, depending on what was going to happen today, to do a show tonight. So I'm very thankful that we have Jess back here tonight for the weekly update. I'm not going to wait too much longer. I will bring her in and welcome her to the show. Jess, how are you?
Hi, bestie. How's it going? Long time no see.
Yeah, you and I spent a lot of time together today outside the courthouse, and it was pretty cool.
It was great. And that's exactly how it happened. I see this car pull up behind me, and I was like, uh-oh, look who shows up. Brian.
And you jumped out and you're like, "Hey, friend." And I was like, "Holy shit, that's Jess.
What's up?" Nice and early. Early bird gets the worm.
Yeah.
There you were.
Yep, we were there.
Yeah, it was great that you were there today. It was a really good day to be there.
It was. There was a lot of, I would say, action going on today. Like I was telling you backstage before we came live, like I felt like today was one of the best days for me to be down there. And maybe you can share your experience as well too. But it was like, I had access to watch like you and Aiden today behind the scenes, which was great. And then going out and seeing everybody outside the buffer zone. There were so many people there today. The weather was like perfect. Everybody was so nice. We had some trolls that showed up, but everybody was so nice. And then, I had access into the Read camp outside today, so I got to grab some videos, and it just felt like I just felt like complete day overall. I got to talk to so many people and see so many things, and it was a good day for LTL Media. How about your experience today, Jess?
I mean, there's so much to talk about today. First of all, I do think it's great that like content creators and podcasters and people that have been working this story for a long time get the opportunity to come down. And, I view you guys as much media as myself, as much media as Dateline and, Sue O'Connell and Ted Daniel. We are all the same. We're just, how we report and how we share content is a little different. And we each have our own thing. You know what I mean? So, while you may not have your pass to get into the courtroom and, that wasn't happening right now, I think, first of all, if you cover another story like this, well, there'll never be anything like this. But say you cover the Walsh case or the Birchmore case, you should get your pass and get in there.
Work on it.
You got to get down there and experience this. I think it really, first of all, it validates all your work that you've been doing all this time.
Right.
There's nothing like the fandom. You know what I mean? Like, I know I've talked about this in the past about like imposter syndrome, right? It's like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
Like, I'm a loser. Like, why do people ask me to sign like autographs and stuff like that? But I think that, for yourself, there's a disconnect from people that are really connecting with you on an emotional level. And when you get to see them, again, it's validating and you're like, you know what, this is why I do this. I don't know any of the core group of people like yourself, myself, certainly not Aiden, Mike, none of us are doing this for the money. We're doing it because of the content and the content
cause.
Or the cause. But I mean, this is valuable reporting and getting in depth. And I think that, nobody's out there going to hand you a check for, 10 grand when you do this, maybe Aiden. But I think when you go out and you meet the people and they're thanking you and saying, I love your work, it's a good opportunity to do that when they're all out there. And I really am glad that you did it. Seeing Mike Crawford there is also great. But I'm glad you got down. And today I thought was a really great day for it. And I know we'll get into the day, but a lot going on.
Yeah, I mean, it gives you, it does. I mean, it makes you feel good of, because we spend, I spend hours doing this. Like I work a full-time job and I took the next level step and built out a studio so I could have live guests in here. And by the way, I got to have you in here at some point.
You will. I thought maybe we'd be scheduling that, but you need a verdict first.
Yeah,
so.
we had a long day today, but we'll get that caught up soon. But it's nice to go out there and I guess feel appreciated when you're talking to everybody on that, I call it the line, the free Karen Reed line. And they're saying, hey, I really enjoy your programming. That's why I come to you. And I don't want to watch Court TV or Law and Crime Network. I want to watch someone that was down there, or I want to watch someone that has, a firsthand perspective that might have a little bit more access to the Reed camp or, to these reporters or Turtle Boy, whoever the other creators. That's what people want to hear. And that's what people want to hear, I think, in the moment when you're down there too, and you can report like, shit, this is going on. Like I know with the troll stuff today, I mean, that was flying off the handle on Twitter today, and people were just really engaged in what was going on. I mean, other than that, I mean, I felt like it was a very quiet day overall. Yeah, Team Reed had to walk back and forth a couple of times. I think we felt we were going to get a verdict a couple of times, especially at the end of the day when Bev sent them back and said, or the jury actually asked, like, give us about another half an hour. I thought they were getting close. And then 4:15 came, and I'll tell you, and I don't know how you felt, but that 15 minutes waiting from 4 o'clock to 4:15, I felt like I was going to throw up because I thought it was going to happen today.
Yeah, I mean, so you're right. It definitely was a quiet day. The first day and the second day of deliberations were intense. First of all, it was so hot on those days. Today was just a better temperature wise. It was a comfortable day. Although I saw Aiden got some sun, he was out there a lot. So, and you and your light skin, I get it. But definitely cooler than the 90 degrees that we had.
Yeah.
I did like the fact that there was not much going on. You know what I mean? So, it was quiet. Yesterday too was quiet. You're right about the time frame at 3:30. We had no idea what to expect. And as you can imagine, we were all just kind of standing around wondering, what does this mean? Why do they want this extra 15 minutes? And, Aiden and I were sitting side by side and I said, let's just shoot out let's go through the list. So they want more time for A, B, C, and D. And, I was playing devil's advocate and saying, well, maybe they just want to show Bev that she asked them to work and they're going to show her that they're going to work. And Aiden was like, they're given an option to leave at 3:30 on, or a little after 3:30 on a Friday. Why wouldn't they take it? And that was my other piece to it, is like, maybe they want to show her, hey, we're taking you seriously and we're going to work. Then we were thinking, they wanted to bully the holdout for another 45 minutes because, there's somebody holding out. So it was intense. It went fast for us. We were standing in the hallway by the time we get out of the room, and then we go back. And it was at that point is when I started prepping my stories, because I thought maybe we were going to get a jury. Yeah. So I had some skeleton stories written, and then I was kind of fine tuning them just based on the time and everything. And I said this on my Spaces event on the way home. I kind of paused when it was time to write the title, Karen Reed found guilty. I didn't want to manifest it. And you just realize there's so much on the line. So yeah, that half hour or so went by very, very quickly. I think everybody in the courtroom was equally as shocked that she said they wanted to go home for the day.
It's crazy.
There was so much talk leading into it. Juries want to go home on Fridays. They don't want to come back. 70% of all juries come back on Fridays. All this stuff. The hung jury piece just, I think, threw everybody for a loop.
The deadlock. Yep.
So much, we could dissect with that, which I'm sure you will, but it was definitely a better day, a quieter day. there's no rhyme or reason to this. I mean, it certainly gives people like us the opportunity to work and talk and elaborate and
Yeah.
ask questions. But
Right.
I mean, who has control over this? Absolutely nobody. The day started off, though, with everybody from yesterday letting me know I'm interested in seeing what the jurors are wearing. So I was on high alert. Sue and Sue O'Connell, were ready to go and nodded immediately when we started to see the juror in the front, the youngest juror. She dresses down every day. Sometimes she wears leggings, but she always wears sneakers. And today she was dressed with like a black sweater type shirt with a shirt underneath, matching black pants, and then kind of dress flats. And we were like, you know, she's a little bit more dressed up than usual. And then Sue thought the foreman looked dressier. He had a collared shirt instead of his Vineyard Giants polo. So we were on high alert. We were like, okay, here we go. That may still be the case. They may have thought we were really going to get somewhere today. But you know, when it comes back and says they can't come to a decision, everybody just wants to know, what's that ratio, Brian? Do you think, and what do you think? Do you think it's 1 holdout, 2 holdout? I mean, I have a theory, but I want to hear what yours is.
Sure. Yeah. And let me just pause on that real quick. I'm just going to get to the super chats and get those out of the way. Kim, thank you for becoming a new YouTube member. So that will kick off $5. We'll do a $5 donation towards Karen Reed's defense fund. We'll take 25% of that and kick it back. I also had another $20 come in from Emily. She said, keep up the great work. You're killing it. Friend me and my friends from Indianapolis watch you in your stuff and appreciate it. So thank you, Indy. Thank you for watching. I appreciate that. Jess appreciates it. And we had another $5 super chat that comes in. Jess, what did the jurors look like when they came in for the night? Jess, what do the jurors look like when they came in for the night? So that's a double question. She wants to know, what did they come in? What do they look like coming in for the night? So,
they look beat down.
Yeah.
They look exhausted, beat down, frustrated. One looks sad. The one that I have maintained looks sad again. One looked like she had been arguing. Her cheeks were red. That's the one I think's the holdout. I mean, we can elaborate. We can come up with these crazy theories in our head, but I'll tell you, when another person in the press box starts saying that, then you're like, hey, I thought that too. Who knows if there's anything to it? I mean, you know me, I'm obsessed with the jurors and everything, but you know, one looks pissed off, you know, and flush, and that's the one who I anticipated was going to be a holdout. So
yeah, it's I don't know, like when you described and you said that, you know, some of them came up a little bit more dressed up today. Maybe those people are ready and they're trying to, like, you know, we've deliberated almost 4 days now. Maybe they know how other people stand and they're dressed up to kind of push that and say, okay, we're ready to go. So we're just waiting for you. Maybe some of that was going on today. Personally, I think the whole thing is this. I think there's probably 1 or 2 holdouts. We really don't know, but this is just my prediction. I think it's all very pro Karen Reed right now. I think it's a not guilty, because I think when you sit on that not guilty and you learn of the information that's going on, I think it's very hard to probably persuade someone on the reverse direction, because you have to look at it. How do we all stand on this case? We know the information. And I know a lot of people were kind of saying stuff about that, like, oh, this should be so easy. It should be so easy. You have to understand, we've been doing this close to a year. So we've been going through all of this information, you know, all the stuff that Aiden has put out there, all the stuff that we've been able to absorb in the mainstream media or whatever sources that we watch. So we've all filtered that and spun it through our heads for about a year. We know the truth.
Right.
Do I think maybe some of the jurors probably know about what's going on? Probably, you know, but they're seeing everything in 8 weeks. So it's boom. So yeah, they wanted to go back and see what the CERT report. Well, there is none. So, you know, stuff.
So
like
my theory on that is that before we ever went to trial, so much of this case was already out in the public, and you had Aiden, you know, doing these Canton, I almost said Canton Confidential because of Sue's show.
Yeah.
But we had the Canton stories coming. I mean, and every week it seems you get a new piece to this, right? And there was a lot of information that was given leading up to this, you know, the dog, the pool, all of this stuff, right? And I think somebody who I think is cautious like me said, let's just wait and see if that ends up becoming evidence. Let's wait and see if that actually becomes legit and makes its way to the thing. almost everything, and I'm not even sure there is anything that wasn't, has been brought forward as being, part of this evidence. And so the only thing I say to this whole picture, as far as the jury goes, they're compromised of you and me and everybody else. And on every single poll that I have seen online during court TV, Fall River Reporter did a poll yesterday on Twitter. I think over 3,000 people voted. I've seen Facebook polls. Everywhere you see a poll and people are watching this, every poll is about the same. It's 75 to 80% she is innocent, and 20%, 25% are split between guilty and hung jury. That to me is what is being mimicked inside the jury room. And so you've got 12 people. You probably have one or two that are holding out.
Yeah, that's my prediction. I know Aiden was going off his live today, which was great to see that. And I got some behind the scenes, which was pretty cool. And when he's saying, I think it's probably like one juror that's holding out.
Oh, when we were downstairs in the registry of deeds.
Like,
that was great.
It was great.
Well, I've actually never, so if for anybody that is going to Denham, I'll give you a heads up. I mean, we might as well. Across the street from Norfolk Superior is the Registry of Deeds. On the side of that is actually Dedham District Court, where Aiden's cases were.
Yeah.
But Registry of Deeds is right across the street, and they allow you to use their bathroom facilities. And usually for us, we stay inside the courthouse or we go to our cars and things like that. But I just needed a table and a chair to put up my laptop and write. And I needed to send some emails, and I didn't want to be uncomfortable. And they said, head over to the Registry of Deeds, go downstairs. And it reminds me, if you're from down here, everybody, what's the matter? Are you okay? Hello.
I'm back. I got to get a hard line in the studio. This has been kind of a annoying thing. So anyway,
Can you hear me? I can hear you. Okay. I was like, is something, listen, last time I was on your show, we had breaking news and Aiden was getting assaulted down in front of D&E Pizza. So I was like, am I missing something? What's happening? Somebody text me. So essentially, okay, bye, Brian. That's fine. I'll take it over from here, just like last time. I'll take it over like last time, Brian. So we went downstairs in the Registry of Deeds, but you can go down there. There's tables set up, and it actually has been really great. So yeah, Aiden was going off, and there was an employee there that wasn't happy. She got very angry with him.
Yes, that was funny. He's like, I'm working here.
She's like, people work here.
Yeah, she goes, I'm fucking working here. It was great. Kind of gave it back to her, and rightfully so. I mean, he's reporting. He's reporting. Well, she goes, and look, there's signs that say that there's no loitering. I was like, we're not loitering. We're all working. Like, we're trying to get a Wi-Fi signal and get, information out to the people.
That has been actually a major problem. Everybody's phones and jumping on Wi-Fi's. Okay. It's so hard to get a signal over there. And then you've got all of these satellite trucks and it's and helicopters. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Let me get through this. Erin, thank you so much for the 10. She says, my hubby reminded me that over a year ago, I was crushed when I realized that corruption was real. These jurors need time to process this. It's not easy to accept, and I am states away. Thank you for the 10. And, I agree. It's a lot to process in this case if you haven't absorbed all of the information that we've gone over in the last, close to about a year.
Yeah.
Let me see this. Deanna, thank you so much for the 20. She said, Jess, could she, the holdout, be crying because she's passionate about Karen Reed being not guilty? Do you think it would be the foreman who was holding out? There are many rumors. I'm sad, and the other two women were dismissed or not picked. And I'll let Jess answer, and then I'm going to answer. Go ahead, Jess.
So the juror that we think, and by we, myself, Aiden, and another member of the press, there is the first juror that was all the way over to the left, and she was in the first space. She was the one that was closest to all of the witnesses in the witness stand. That is also the witness, if you remember, that was overheating and was really hot, and she asked, or they moved her all the way to the other side. Judge Canoni had suggested you take light notes. She didn't want you to take a lot of notes. She wanted you to write yourself notes that would prompt you to remember something or something important. But this woman is an avid note taker, all the time writing. Her notebook is very full. The other thing is, a couple of weeks ago, she started wearing like a wrist brace, like an athletic wrist brace or something. Mm-hmm. If I'm just like generalizing, I'm looking at her as being high maintenance. You know, you've got 12, 13, 14, 15 people in that area over there. You know, she seems to have needed accommodations in multiple ways. She's the one that seems to have that look when she came in today of being kind of frustrated. And I thought it, didn't say it, never tweeted about it. Aiden said it, and it was like ringing a bell in my head. I was like, could she be the one? You know, she looks like she might be
Sure.
a holdout. As far as the foreman, you know, I've told you guys many times, he looks sometimes like he was not interested. He was looking out the window when the window was accessible. That doesn't mean that he's not paying attention, but I'm just telling you, like on the surface, he just didn't look like that he was. So it's very hard to say.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we don't really know, you know, and a lot of people were speculating rumors, and I know probably people got angry at me, but about an hour and a half before I came and did this live with you, you know, people were going rumors, rumors, rumors. And I went, you know what? I think you just need to let the jurors do their job,
Yeah.
you know, and you know, and I said, stay positive. You know, I'm going to tell you, Team Reed today, super positive at the end of the day. I mean, if you heard David Yannetti, when I asked him when he came out, I actually did something today, Jess. I asked a question like a real reporter would.
I asked you, I was like, are you going to ask? And you were like, yeah. I said, go for it.
I have never done it. I've been kind of like nervous or shy to do it. I said, today, fuck it. I'm going for it. David Yannetti walked by, he looked right at me, and I said, David, any comment on how about how things went today? And he goes, we're optimistic. And then it was kind of like weird because Alan Jackson turned to me, and I don't know if he was like expecting me to ask him something, but I just kind of let Alan go by. But I watched Alan this morning, the first walkout from court when they came back to Camp Reed. You know, Alan seemed pretty angry, but at the end of the day, he seemed a little bit more upbeat. And I can tell you a little bit more, you know, what was going on inside Team Reed today. I got a little bit of access. I had someone that was in there today that told me some information, and I'll let you know about that in a second. But I just want to get to this. Brenda, thank you so much for the $5. She said, all the evidence, I don't get it. It's so obvious with all the evidence. I can't give more. Sorry, I can't give more. Perfectly fine. Thank you. I appreciate that. She said, free Karen Reed from Canada. It is. It's very obvious. But again, it goes back to, and this is just my opinion, we've absorbed this for close to a year. And you're looking at jurors that are just looking at everything, a ton of information in 8 weeks. So I don't know. Am I wrong, Jess? Like,
well, I mean, again, I don't hold these jurors to a higher standard than you and I. I think they are just regular people from all walks of life. You don't know what their backgrounds are or what they do. So I just think that they were attentive, bored at times. This is a lot of information to go through, but we've already been given an indication of what's going on in there. They can't come to a decision. So they have some people that believe that she is innocent of some of these charges or all of these, and some people that think differently. And, you know, you alluded to this before, but obviously anybody that I've talked to, it's easier to move people over to the not guilty than it is to the guilty. I had a friend of mine who had served on a jury, and I asked her take on this. I just wanted to read this really quickly.
Yeah.
She said, mostly about how the reason we deliberated for 3 days was because we all wanted not guilty and only one wanted guilty. Yeah. We had to learn how to sort through all of the evidence, apply weight to each one, and tie the factual evidence to our decisions and strip away any assumptions, opinions, etc. We ended up helping the holdout to realize that the reason at the core for her guilty vote was because she just believed that he was guilty. But by taking the time to sort everything, she also learned about how the decisions as a juror have to be made. It was just hard and timely to get there. And so that's, you know, a really great insight on someone who served on a jury. It was a dynamic similar to what we had already been talking about, you know, everybody against the one. Everybody wanted not guilty. You had one guilty, and them having to take the time and nurture that not guilty verdict and bring them over. But even if we're saying this in an informal way, Brian, here's how I look at it. If you do a hung jury, she's going home. And if you do not guilty, she's going home. So why not just do the not guilty and let her go home?
Right. No, I agree. I mean, she has two options now, and maybe that's why they seemed a little bit more positive when they walked out today, that Karen has two options now. Because to me, the way I look at it is, you got to look at it this way. And I'm going to say this, and I know this is going to upset some people, but I'm going to tell you, the positive thing is there's people in that room that are on Karen's side right now. That's very good. But you got some people in that room that want to convict her. We don't know the balance of that, but at least there's other options right now, just like you said.
I think we know what the balance is. I think it mimics real life, and the majority of people listen.
It could be
When I'm out on the
70%,
ground,
like the polls, Jess. 70% of the people in that
and
room.
when you go out and you're interviewing people and you're talking to not only at the scene of where we are during this whole trial, but when you're talking to anybody, I'm always curious, what is the one piece of evidence that really tipped the scales for you? And people are very passionate about their one thing that is like the item for them. You know what I mean? So some people it's the dog bites, some people it's the Apple phone data, some people it's the how long to die in the cold Google thing. I mean,
I know
everybody
that's the
has
one for
their
Aiden.
one.
Aiden's like the 227 is the one for him. That's what
Yeah.
nails it down for him.
Yeah, the dog bites are the one for me.
Yeah. For me, it's the whole taillight theory and the whole physics of the whole taillight theory.
Sure.
And then locking it down with the and now the name just slipped me. I literally said the name about 1,000 times today. The guys from ARCA, when they nailed it down, I'm like, we live by physics on this planet.
Sure.
And if those guys are telling it and they're saying it, then you have to believe it. You have to. I'm going to apologize right now. I have a horrible reception tonight, so I apologize. It literally was fine until I went live. And this is getting kind of annoying because
the sound is great if it matters anything.
the video is terrible. I can see it. So I apologize.
You want me to make mine terrible and then we can both be terrible together?
Maybe I come out of it, but I definitely need to get a hard line in this room. And that's something I'm going to have to discuss with my landlord, by the way. But anyway, not going to let it take away from the live tonight. Let me just get to this. Sherry, thank you so much for the $2 Canadian. She says, thank you both for your generous hearts. Thank you. And no, thank you for your generous heart. She just gifted 5 memberships. So that's $5 each. $25. We'll add that to the total. Reality check checking in says, found it strange O'Keefe's were present during the hung jury issues. Thoughts? Did y'all notice? Jess, what'd you think?
They weren't present, and I don't know if she meant to write that, but they were not present for that.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so they were not present. So, so a little bit of background on this. Obviously, there was a little bit of an issue yesterday. So there was an incident that occurred. So the O'Keefe family during deliberations has been going over to a location down the street. It's about a quarter of a mile away.
Yep.
They've been kind of hanging out there. It is a facility that has made it private to them. Someone wearing a pink shirt went over, and I don't know if you've seen the police report to this, Brian, but somebody went over wearing a pink shirt, wanted to use the bathroom. Ugh. They basically said, you can't come in here. This is a private thing. And listen, 99.9% of the Free Karen Read supporters are great people and follow the unwritten rules about how to act. But then you're going to have some people that aren't, that are going to push the buttons, that like to instigate. And those people went over there and, caused a problem. There was no incident. It was documented with the police report. But my theory is that they had been given some information. It wasn't worth the drive over. I don't really know. The other thing is when you're notified that it's time to go in, you've got 5 minutes to get in.
Yeah.
And maybe there just wasn't enough time. I don't know. It was the first time they haven't been in there when we've called, but I just know that they're up the street. So I don't know.
Yeah, that was a part of the big conversation is why Camp Reed is where it is in the area. Cause they're like, we wanted, I forget where they said they wanted to go, but they were like, it would be like a 30-minute drive with all the traffic to get back here. So that's why
I'm surprised that they don't have a room in that courthouse. And I don't know if it's just because the courthouse is old. Yeah, I mean, the Commonwealth obviously, Morrissey's, for people who don't know this, Morrissey's office is there's a door that says District Attorney Morrissey on it. We can't take pictures inside the courthouse, but every time I walk by it, because it's right across from the bathroom, I want to take a picture of it and memorialize it. But yeah, I think, I don't know. This is obviously, it's a very, very old courthouse. It's over 100 years old. It's just not built for, high traffic or anything. But yeah, it has been. And I did speak with Mrs. Read, and she was telling me, especially on the days where it was hot, she was tired. They were tired walking back and forth each time. And
Yeah.
I think that was really the ultimate decisions behind moving the line and them coming around now. And I don't think, some people are saying, oh, Karen needed all of her supporters. And then as soon as they started deliberating, Karen starts moving around the other side. I think it really comes down to ease of access. They need to safely get in there. They need to not be hounded by the press. The press has been absolutely insane. I'm grateful, like you, and I know you'll elaborate on it, but I have access to the space that regular press don't have. Bonus for being an authentic journalist. And I'm not saying some of my peers aren't, but
Sure.
I think the Reed family respects people that have an open mind when it comes to reporting. And so for me, I can avoid that line and I can go right on the inside, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
But the line has been crazy. The whole thing is just an absolute mess. Nobody's happy out there. The state troopers are, they're great, but all of these guys are transplants. All these staties are from other jobs. So we have SWAT guys, we have guys that do like all of these other things, and they've all been pulled from all these places to come to this one spot. So they're out of sorts. That's not their normal jobs. They've been here for 9 weeks. The crowd can be crazy. Hardman is hard. For those of you who listen to my drive home thing, I say he's like the one with no eyes because I never see his eyes. And then don't you know I saw his eyes, but it's crazy over there, and it's relentless. It's nonstop. It's every day. And I know that they were saying they wouldn't let you on the sidewalk over to the press area. They've been dealing with these really weird press people from Florida. They have press passes, and I guess it's legit down there, but they're weird. They're like traveling journalists with press passes. But they don't
Gypsies.
report anywhere. They're like gypsies. They don't report anywhere or do anything. They just show up, and some of them are dressed really, it's very weird. So,
Yeah.
and then we'll talk about it, but you've got people like Gretchen Voss causing absolute mayhem.
Yeah, that's crazy today.
It's intense.
It's just unneeded and they just wanted to blurp in and get a headline. And, I was saying to you, I know the reason why they're going to do this, because the mainstream media is going to pick up and say, oh, disruption from Free Karen Reed supporters, or, Free Karen Reed supporters go wild, or, some shit like that. And that's all that was for today. I didn't really pay much mind to it. When people, outsiders, come in, 4 or 5 people to try to distract a group of hundreds, we know why you're there. It's just silly and stupid. Let me just get to this really quick. Dina, thank you so much for being a moderator, a member, and for your $5 super chat. I also had a Venmo come through, $25 if you can add that. Celebrating 31 years with my hubby in Houston, but had to jump on and say thank you for continuing to keep us up to date with Karen Reed's case. Thank you. I appreciate that. And then Ellie, thanks for being, look at this, a year membership to the channel. I do appreciate that. And thank you for celebrating and being over here on the LTL media.
Wow.
I'm kind of looking at my Wi-Fi signal, and I'm like, when is this thing going to kick out of it? But I don't think it's going to happen. So, and it sucks. I dressed up tonight too. I wanted to be all like nice.
He's gonna what is it? A Andrew Jackson t-shirt underneath there?
I got my Action Jackson t-shirt under, and here we are. And I look like I'm on a 1995 dial-up modem. So I apologize. Like dial.
Oh, that's fantastic, actually. Wow. I'm impressed with that.
So it was funny. I had a source come out and tell me they were inside the Reed camp today, and they said that the environment actually inside was very relaxed. Karen was actually really relaxed today. She didn't seem nervous or anything. They actually just kind of hung out and talked. They were talking about old movies that they used to watch and just kind of like relaxing, and it felt like, maybe some of that tension came down, because I noticed Jackson on the walk back and even Team Reed on the walk back today from checking into court seemed like they were a little tense. But as the day went on, especially when they came out, I saw Alan Jackson kind of smiling a little bit. David Yannetti opened up to me, and when I asked him a couple of, that question outside, he was actually smiling a little bit. So, I think it's a positive move in the right direction. I think, I'm feeling 100% that we're going to get a not guilty verdict. And like you said, why hang it if you can just send her home,
Yeah, I mean, well, as far as the, you can even pull it up if you wanted to. I think on our Fall River Reporter
Mhm.
account, I uploaded a video of Mr. Reed,
Yeah.
and I asked him what his plans were for the weekend, and he was like, "I'm going to get some sleep," and he said he was going to chill, I think is what he said.
Yeah, he did say that.
Um, and there was a really nice interaction between him and
Alan
Alan
Jackson.
Jackson. I always do that. Um, excuse me, President.
That's right. Yeah,
Um,
the president.
he said, I have to think about it, but he was complimenting Attorney Jackson and said, I think, gosh, I just lost
It's
it. I'll
okay.
get it, but
We had a
um,
lot to do today. We did a lot.
I got up at 4
I
a.m.
was up to
and
4 myself too, so
I
I get
pounded
that.
a Red Bull about an hour before I got on here. And I was like, I can do this. I can do it. I think, listen, this is it. You grind because it's going to be over soon enough. But
Yeah.
he was very optimistic. He said he was going to chill. He was going to get some sleep. I heard him just say some really nice things to you. I'm going to pull it up on my phone so I can get it right.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
he said something really nice to Attorney Jackson. And then he said he was going to go home and get some sleep. What does he say? He said, we're very hopeful is what Bill Reed said. So
Mhm.
for those of you who don't know, our New Bedford Guide Instagram account is our Fall River Reporter Instagram account. We only have one. It's under New Bedford Guide. So our videos and reels and things are on there.
Mm. Yeah, I'll pull that up so we can hear the comment. Let me just read a couple of these that came through. Renee, I did get your Venmo. Thank you so much. I read it a little bit earlier, but I did get to it. Joanne, thank you for becoming a new YouTube member. That's $5, so we'll add that to the total. And then she turned around and gifted 10 memberships out there. So that's another 50, and we'll add that to the rolling total. And 25% of all the money that's collected tonight. And I like to at least get to $50 for Karen, but 25% will be kicked back to Karen Reed. And then we had Acres with a $10, says jury's going to be exposed. Jurors are going to get exposed to this no matter what this weekend. Clearly, I mean, Jess, we saw the bus come out, the jurors' bus come out
Mhm.
today when they left court. I mean, they
Yep.
know what's going on outside. I mean, it's
Yes.
clear. You can hear it.
They can
Um,
see it. They can hear it from there for
yeah.
sure.
Sandra B's story is all over the news and stating the same cops that are involved in the Reed case. There are some connections there, and it is definitely something that I will explore here on this channel when the time is right. I've done some lives in the past about it, and I definitely know that this I call the Karen Reed crew, that the creators are definitely going to talk about Sandra Birchmore.
I think what
Everybody.
your person there is saying is
Did I miss
the
it?
story about Sandra Birchmore obviously had a new development. An independent, investigation, is saying
Mm,
that this was a homicide. That is in the news right now, and
yeah,
there are news media outlets that are reporting. So say somebody is avoiding Karen Reed things, but they pick up the Birchmore
yeah,
story. They're going to say some of the police officers involved in that are, I mean, will that change someone's mind if they see
maybe.
that?
I see what you're saying there.
I cannot simply imagine that these jurors have isolated themselves from
Yeah.
media in every possible way. I can't
Yeah,
imagine.
I don't there's got to be something that they know. I mean, this case is so big. I mean, it's going to be hard to stay away, but I love when she come. Bev, I was joking about it today. Jurors, I just have to ask you the 3 questions. Did you read anything in the news media? Did you hear anything? Did you talk about it outside of court? Well, yeah, of course. You don't think they're going to
Fantastic.
go talk to their family members or friends about what they've been doing for the past 8
Well, they
weeks over
look
this
right
weekend?
at her face and nod their head yes
Yeah.
every time.
Oh, of course. So, yeah.
Yes, every
Mike,
time.
Mike S, by the way, I saw you in the chat. It was a pleasure meeting you today, and thanks for introducing yourself. But this is different, Mike. Mike, $10 says, Jess, do you think the holdout missed the forest through the rest of the trees by taking too many notes? Huge key to this case was the witness demeanor, not their words. Sounds like she may be a little kooky.
I'm not sure she missed the forest through the trees, so to speak. I think
Mhm.
she has got a real comprehensive view of this case. I just think that she is a Karen and not the Karen that's in there. I mean, can you not have a Karen on the jury? You know what
Right,
I mean? That really, or someone who, think about it, she may just feel so like we do not know personalities. I'm just telling you, I've never
right.
been on a jury, but I'm thinking about myself on a jury. And I am so strong and opinionated. If I were the one against the 11, I'm not giving it up for nothing. My conviction on things is so strong. So why would I give it up? I don't care how they finesse me. I don't care what they say. I don't care if you're telling me she's going to go home either way. I know that at the end of the day, my vote will be this.
Right.
And you don't know what if there's some like attention that is being craved here. And if it gets hung, she's willing to speak to the press and say, I wanted to say this and that's it. I threw that out to Aiden when we were talking in that 15-20 minutes. And he was like, and what? Expose herself for being the one person that thought Karen Read was guilty. She's not going to do that. I thought about that as well. But every one of them knew the risk that they were taking getting involved in this case, that they could potentially become known as a juror, and their anonymity is not protected once this case is over.
Right. Yeah. Isaiah, thank you so much. 2-month member says, what's up, Brian? Looking sharp today in my dial-up mode because my connection will not come back. I'm kind of angry about it because this show's going so well, but I'm not going to let that falter me here. We'll go on with the show. But anyway, he says, Karen is 100% not guilty. Thank you so much, and thank you for supporting the channel. I appreciate it. But that's an old coworker of mine that has continued to follow the channel, which is pretty badass. So thank you, Isaiah. And I always enjoy talking to you when I see you out and about. So let's talk. Oh, actually, V, thank you so much for a $7 Cash App. I appreciate that. We'll add that to the rolling total. Let's see. What else, Jess? So I felt like the crowd today was it filled in. The morning was almost, there was no one out there in the morning. And then I think as the day went on, it filled in. I felt like everybody was a lot more calmer today. I thought that the police officers in and around the courthouse, state police, Karen's security was amazing today, keeping that area blocked off, keeping it, keep their logistics rolling perfectly. They got Karen back and forth and her family back and forth safe. There were no hangups. There was no really crazy people trying to jump the fence or anything. I heard a couple of times throughout the day, people yelling, get off the grass, the church grass. But I think overall it went very smooth. And then we had the trolls that showed up this afternoon. But
yeah, I don't know. It's a fine balance between giving them attention.
Sure.
Are we still going? I just want to make sure we're going.
No, we're good.
Okay.
Can you hear? You see me?
Yeah, a little glitchy. I think it's a fine line between giving them attention and at least talking to people about why this was happening and why and how you should behave when it does happen, and ignoring them. And I think it's a little irresponsible to completely ignore them and not talk about it going forward. I used to say this when I used to work for political campaigns. Want me to keep going, Brian?
I'm still here. It's just, oh, wait, now my signal's actually starting to come back a little bit here.
Okay.
Okay, sorry about that. I guess I'm gonna have to talk to my landlord and say I need a hard line in this room.
Don't apologize.
Go ahead.
I used to run campaign events. Don't hold it against me, everybody, for the Trump campaign, and we used to have massive standouts. And it started off really small, and I think you don't really understand how quickly those things will grow, right? Same thing here. We started off with a small group of people. It kept growing and growing and growing. And then what happens is you have people that you don't know all coming out here. But what ultimately is they are reflective of the candidate, or in this case, the accused. And you really have to understand that you're representing her on every level. And so today, you have antagonists come out. Their main goal is to get a reaction. They want people to make Karen look bad. And, some people took the bait. Some people went over, started yelling. The crowd moved and gave them attention. There was a great job of Rita moving everybody over and getting them to kind of distance themselves from it. I wanted everybody to kind of envision, what if you all turned your backs and never said a word? They would eventually just give up because it was not making an impact. Aside from all of it, guys, I cannot believe Kate Peter and Lindsay Gattani showed up there today. I can't believe it.
I kind of felt bad you can hear me okay, right?
I can. Yeah.
For some reason, my video is just freezing, and I'm so sorry about that. But I kind of really felt bad for Aiden today because he was actually trapped in a spot, with the ongoing restraining orders between everybody. He was actually trapped, and he was kind of frustrated because he's like, my fucking car's over in the deeds building and they're all sitting over there, so I can't walk over there. And he was running around everywhere. He was talking to a couple state cops and trying to iron everything out. He kind of got locked down in the church area for a while, and I could sense his frustration. I felt bad for him. It's just like, these people are just coming in. They're just disruptors. They really don't give a shit about what's really going on. They just want to show up and try to, get a rise out of everybody, and especially get a rise out of him. So, bullshit move. Listen, trolls are trolls. They're going to be who they are. But, again, I kind of had to feel for him a little, because he was a little pissed, and, he just wanted to kind of be able to go where he can go.
I mean, I said this too.
He called Bradle. I know he called Bradle at one point. And he's like, what do I do here? So.
Well, I mean, that's great that he's doing that, because I mean, listen, again, he's on probation, or he's on bail rather. So, I mean, any type of incident, he's going back, and, that's scary. And I've lived that life actually, where, someone had a restraining order on me, and, there was a constant barrage of accusations of me violating it. And you always worried, is today the day? Right. So I've lived that life, and that's a story for another time. But I think that one of the things that we never saw today were signs that said justice for John O'Keefe, and thinking about John O'Keefe, and, pray for John's family. And we didn't see signs like that. We saw, signs meant to provoke, signs meant to harass people.
Right.
And listen, again, I used to hold Trump standouts with Black Lives Matter people on the same street. And you just put them on separate ends, and you have your own sides, and you don't interact with each other, and you champion for your own cause. But that's not what this was. This was meant to provoke. It is always about Aiden. And I know this is based on Karen, right? What we're talking about right now, but this is a factor, and this is a part of it. This is always about Aiden. These people are always about Aiden. And don't ever forget, which I think is just as an important of a story as every other piece of evidence in this case, they used the law, the Commonwealth, to stop Aiden from talking about this case by using Lindsay to get him put in jail.
That's exactly what that was. And that's the same thing, probably why they brought her around today, to get him out of that area, or to lock him down, essentially, like they did today, to try to fuck him over. And,
he's allowed to be within 50 feet of the courthouse.
Yeah.
And that restraining order doesn't work for her. But I mean, I'm going to tell you something right now. If I've got a restraining order against somebody, and I do currently right now, everybody knows I have one against Grant. I'm never going anywhere near where Grant is, because I am afraid of his irrational, erratic, crazy behavior that could become confrontational, that could become physical. So I would avoid him at all costs. When people who have restraining orders show up where they're accused, the person who abused them is, it just essentially shows me that they're not afraid of them. And this is a pattern for Lindsay. She is a perpetual, a restraining order abuser. And it's standard. And again, I love this for her, because again, if you see that the person who hurt you and you're deathly afraid of is at a location, you couldn't pay me, Brian, to show up. You
Why are you showing up then? Right.
Yeah, no way. Somebody posted that Grant was at D&E Pizza a couple times last week. You think I'm going to D&E Pizza?
Yeah.
I would never want to see that guy, because I know it's going to get violent.
Right. No, I agree.
The problem is Lindsay doesn't think it's going to get violent, and that's why she goes.
Yes, so silly. Action Benz, thanks you for the 10. He says, the people who want to convict Karen keep pointing out that the car's computer registered her going 24 miles an hour in reverse and hitting something. Who testified to that? Wasn't it blown up on cross? I don't remember anybody testifying. Or maybe it was Paul. Did Paul say that? Paul came up with the theory because he had that stupid fucking video of them. Like, it was the most ridiculous. That's his accident reconstruction. He just showed her SUV backing up, and he's like, well, yeah, we test the theory. Like, it might have been Paul that testified to that. Yeah, Trooper Paul. Everybody's saying Trooper Paul, but I mean, it did. It got blown up right on cross. Thank you for the 10. I appreciate that. Let's go to this one. Gallery Girl says, Jess, I love reading your Twitter responses to the fake victims. You are a boss. Keep being smart, sassy, and great example for women. I'm a nurse, and she's a disgrace to that profession. Free Karen Reed.
Thank
Very, very
you.
nice.
I love the trolls. They're fantastic.
Alamana says $5 says, do you think a juror may fear police retaliation by parties like the Alberts, Proctors, etc.?
I don't think we'll ever know until
No.
if they want to speak, what it's going to be like and why they do what they do. Jurors have their own reasons. I have no idea.
Yeah.
It's a great idea. It's a great suggestion. I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah. We don't know. That's the thing. We don't know what's going on in that room. We don't know what the thoughts are inside the jurors' heads, and that's why I just said, let them do their job. That's why they were picked, and they're there to do their job.
One
So
of the things I wanted to mention. Oh, go ahead, Brian.
Go ahead. I know sometimes it's a tough pill to swallow right now because everybody's antsy, and we look at it and it's like, oh, she should have walked out of there in 30 minutes. Yeah, of course. And I go back to, us absorbing all that information and talking about it over a year. And, supposedly this jury never heard anything about it, and they're absorbing everything in 8 weeks. So it's a lot to take in. What were you going to say, Jess?
One of the things that I am concerned about in regards to the jury is that over the weekend, somebody gives up and comes back and drops out. And if that is the case, from what I understand,
again,
you would have to start your deliberations all over again because your two alternates are not in the room.
Right.
And if that is the case, so just like running through that scenario today on the way home, I was thinking about it. Perhaps it may not be the holdout, right?
Yeah.
But what if it is? Maybe there is. We don't even know if there's one holdout. We're saying there's one, but maybe there's
we don't know.
Whatever. But what
five.
if one person decides over the weekend, I'm not doing this anymore. I've put in my time. I've put in my work. We have alternates. I'm out. And we have to start these jury deliberations all over again.
Jesus.
Yeah.
No.
That's the risk about going home on the weekend and sleeping it over, or potentially running into something online, or what I mean? I worry about what happens over the next 2 days. It's a long time.
Let's do this. I wanted to show everybody this. I don't know if you all saw this, but this was a photo that David Yannetti posted up the other day, and this black and white photo of Karen. And I said this to Jess. I'm like, have you seen this? I mean, this is such a great photo. Really, really great. You were like, who took that? And I was like, David Yannetti posted that. And I thought it just really encapsulated the moment. And it's just it's a really great photo. So hats off to David Yannetti with the photo skills. Really good stuff. And that right there to me was like, that encompasses everything. It's a really great shot. So
yeah, I think I've been able to learn a little bit more about Karen through her family and their interactions when we see them talk about her. And I think we saw a really great comment to the press the other day from her. You can tell she's an opinionated woman. You know what I mean? She really is strong. It's not a fake thing. It's legit. I think that picture shows she's pretty fierce, and I think that's what she is.
I just picture like when this is over, she goes not guilty. I just picture like the words icon on there, or like powerful or something. It's like,
yeah, I think it's really crazy. Her attorney posted that. There's so much like Hollywood surrounding this whole thing with them. I mean, obviously Yanetti's local, but Jackson and his Euro looking suits and shoes, and they're just all it's. Well, we've talked about the disparity between Lally and them, and how different the Commonwealth looks, and the disorganization and the punctuality with statements and things. They're just so different. But there's this other thing too, you know what I mean, where they're posting these things and they use their social media accounts. And I mean, if anybody can find the Lally social media account, the real one, not the fake one, I mean, it's just very different. These people are bold. They're individuals. They have their own personalities, and they kind of like market themselves in a way. Like here's a guy putting this picture of his client out there like that. That's wild.
And I think it's great too, in the sense of they're very, very interactive with the supporters. They admire us. They wave. They interact. They smile. They never look faltered in any way. Jackson, I think, is a little bit more visual on the face than David. I think David holds it in a little bit more. But you can tell You know, if you want to say Jackson doesn't quite have the poker face as David, you know, I
Yeah.
kind of tend to see it. And maybe it's on purpose. I don't know. But I think Jackson shows a little bit more on his face versus David. David's pretty stone faced, but
Hmm.
like I said, you know, I had noticed this morning when I first saw Alan, little bit more perturbed, but the afternoon, as the afternoon went on, it was just more positive. Let's show that video you had of Mr. Reed, and then I have one of the walk-in. My connection's not improved, so I apologize. It's weird, Jess. If I turn my camera on, my connection gets worse. If I
Really?
keep it off, it's pretty decent.
Ah,
Okay, that makes
it
sense.
doesn't want to see your outfit.
It does not. Yeah, I like dressed up tonight. What the hell? All right, let's play this.
Mr. Reed, what are your plans for this weekend?
I'm going to chill out. You're giving me a heart attack. I looked up there and I'm like, oh no. I'm just very hopeful and have a nice weekend, everybody. Hey, you too. God bless you. Yeah. Have a nice weekend. I gotta get some sleep.
Mr. Reed, what are your plans?
That's great. He goes, I'm gonna chill out. I love it.
Just gonna chill out. It's the weekend.
He goes, I'm gonna get some sleep. Melissa says $5. Thank you so much. She says the going 24 hours backwards was recorded on the engine during the key cycle. That's right, in which Proctor had possession of the vehicle. Yes.
I was in the room during the key cycle conversations and testimony, and I was lost beyond belief.
It
and
was
I
tough for me to
no
follow
shame-
too. Yeah.
I have no shame in saying it. I was completely lost.
Yeah.
Had no idea what was going on.
And I have to say too, the day that I got to sit in, I know a lot of people were like, what was it like? You know, what was Yuri like? What were you doing? What did you see? It's so different, I think, when you're in there. For me, it was anyway, because I was trying to look around everywhere. Excuse me. I was looking around everywhere. I was really wanting to watch the jurors one. And then I was just watching, like, I would look over and I'd look at Aiden. I'd watch the jury. I'd watch the judge. I'm watching Jackson. So you're playing this ping pong battle. And then once they would turn the TV on, everybody really glued to that. And they were like, okay, you know, they're showing evidence and stuff like that. So it is a lot different. The courtroom is small. It looks a lot bigger on TV, but the courtroom definitely is small. I saw this tweet from Mark Betterow, which I thought was great. And it was pretty, relaxing for him to say this too. So I'll read this. So Mark Betterow put a tweet out about 6 hours ago and said, at 2:51 p.m., just about the time they were going back. It says, just an FYI, a mistrial is 1,000 times worse for the DA than Karen Reed, even though it is less than not guilty and doesn't literally end the prosecution. Real life problems for the DA regarding decisions to retry if it comes to that. They still may reach a not guilty verdict, but we'll see. I thought that was a great tweet. And he's just a pro, like just super pro.
Yeah, I don't know where I saw it, but I mean, it could have been Aiden's post, but I mean, is there a chance that there's some sort of movement in this federal investigation if we have to do a retrial?
Sure.
And then, what does that look like? I mean, I do have a solution though. If they need to do this again, that picture of Karen, her foot is in it. And like we were talking, I think a foot OnlyFans of just that picture could raise a couple million. So I think the Reeds are good for the next go if they have to.
It probably could. Or the water bottle that she had. I'm sure they could probably sell that for $1 million.
They could sell anything, honestly,
Yes.
with her. These people will take anything.
Yeah. Let's watch the walk-in back from court today. You get to see Alan Jackson and, of course, Karen Reed coming in. We'll watch this really quick. Thank you to the Reeds, by the way, for letting me back in the kind of the restricted area today. It was nice to have that access and be a little bit more candor, everybody. Good morning. All right. Good morning. Good to see you. I mean, that's really how these people are. They're very nice people. They are very embracing, and I see a lot of this when I get to see this access and have
Mm.
this kind of access. And their security was amazing today. They really were top notch.
Yeah, we've never seen that kind of security until this
Yeah,
stuff
it's
started.
really, really
Obviously.
good. They blew
Yeah.
it out of the water today. And I just want to get to this really quick. Melissa, 499er, says the Yannetti picture is iconic. Karen Reed has done more to help women find their voice than anyone I know of. That's pretty awesome. You know, and I talked a lot about that too. I got interviewed by the Boston Globe the other day. I spoke with Canton Community, and I talked about that. You know, I said that, you know, Karen is, in my opinion, they said, well, why did you get so involved with this? And I said, I think for the first time, you're really seeing a woman stand up and be powerful and not let people roll over on her. You know, she's been hit with so many things in this case. You know, first the undercharges, then she didn't fold there. They threw this bigger charge on her. She still didn't fold. You know, you go back to the first arraignment and there's no one there. She's by herself. And then all of a sudden this fantastic movement built because of Aiden Turtle Boy Carney, and this wonderful movement that got behind her and really pushed her to keep going. I mean, listen, if I was in a position like that, I don't know if I'd be able to hang. Like, I might falter. I mean, for Christ's sakes, and she didn't falter once, and she's kept her head up proud, and you know, we haven't seen her fold at all. You know, and I think that's pretty strong. It's a powerful person.
I think I probably scrutinize female relationships a little bit more than say you or even like an average person. I have a really great group of women that I surround myself with all the time. I call them the mom gang, right? And I think female relationships are really important, but they're hard to cultivate because women are jealous creatures. And you can come at me if you want to, but I think women are jealous. Some women can be really insecure. And one of the things that I find to be really fascinating about this is so many women are supporting her. And despite her, I think, fantastic looks, every guy I know thinks she's, you know, a 10. Despite the fact that she, you know, has this stuff going on, every woman I know adores her or the essence of her.
Yes.
And I think that's really, it speaks a lot to, I think, while she is maybe all of these other things, she's kind of like a regular average girl, especially when she talks. You know, they joked about that Fall River accent, but it also shows like she's really just kind of like a regular person. She's one of us, me. I mean, we own a little bit of Karen down here, down in Bristol County, Fall River reporter. But I mean, I just think to see all these women really, really gravitate and move towards her, that comment that woman just said is just really interesting to me because, you know, she is kind of becoming like a touchstone or like a beacon for a lot of women. And when the Proctor testimony happened, I think that really, really catapulted her into that realm. And, you know, man, I think that's just something I'm not sure anybody expected in a murder trial.
Yeah. And you look at it too. I mean, look at all of the embarrassing stuff that was said about her, put out publicly to the world. And she stood there with her head up. And guess what? Looked him in the eyes the entire time through all of that testimony and didn't falter once.
Yeah, she's got some balls, I'm telling you.
Knowing the things that were being said about her and the nasty things that he was saying about, you know, her medical condition and calling her all these names, and to stand there and be strong and look at him in the eyes after all that stuff is pretty amazing. It's pretty powerful stuff. Let me just get to this really quick. $10, Taryn, thank you so much. But jurors refusing to participate in deliberation, does that constitute misconduct? Can the rest of the jury band together, alert the judge, and request an alternate? Probably. I mean, I'm not an expert, but I would say probably. What do you think?
I think that's what happened in the first situation where Mama got removed. I think there were other jurors that complained about her. So I think they can pretty much do whatever they want, they want. I don't know as far as removing somebody, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Aaron, thanks for the 10, says, thanks, Jess. Correct. It could be any one of us. Absolutely. Let me play this video right here. It's about a 4-minute video, and this will kind of take you through of kind of what's going on right now in the courtroom. And I just wanted to clarify this. I just Googled, like, can you predict jury verdicts? And this video popped up, and I thought it was very informative and very direct in the way that it's explained. But let's play this. And if you want me to stop and you want to commentate, just let me know, Jess.
Can you predict a verdict based on the length of jury deliberations? I've tried over 100 criminal jury trials. We've seen juries throughout the country take days and even weeks to come back with verdicts of guilty and verdicts of not guilty. We've also seen juries take weeks and ultimately end up as hung juries, meaning the jury could not reach a unanimous deliberation. So why do juries take days or even weeks to ultimately come to a decision or a lack of a decision in a hung jury? Understand what a jury is doing is sometimes a very complicated task. They're given a charge from the court, and the charge is a document that lays out the law that applies to the case. It lays out the number of allegations, so you may have multiple counts, and then it applies the facts of the case to the law in application paragraphs. So the jury has to go through those and has to go through every single count. Oftentimes, there are special issues that are also presented to juries. There might be lesser included charges that have been raised by the defense, where the jury needs to consider if a person is guilty of just a lesser crime as opposed to the crime they were originally charged with. So the jury goes through that. The jury elects a foreman, and then the jury begins deliberating. Once the jury begins deliberations, the court and all the parties are essentially working on the jury's schedule. So if the jury wants to work till 9 p.m. or 12 p.m., the judge will probably allow it. If the jury wants to leave at 5 p.m. and come back the next day, the judge will probably allow it.
I mean, that's essentially what happened today. They called for a little bit more time. And I honestly, I thought we were going to get a verdict today with that extra time. How did you I mean, what were you feeling in that moment? No?
I just didn't. I don't know. The hung jury thing really threw me. And I just felt they need more time. If they worked all that time up until that point and had a hung jury, it seemed a little impossible that within only 3 hours they were going to be able to fix that. So yeah, I didn't get my hopes. I mean, I will tell you the feeling around going in and out of the courtroom today, like when we had to go in, was very different. We are anticipating something is happening. Is this the moment? You know, we're usually very chatty inside the press box until we weren't. I mean, people are just really setting up and getting ready. I mean, and I'm not the best person for this because the 10 of us that are in there, we are laser focused on getting exactly what we hear right and getting out as fast as we can. So and I can't hear a thing. And I've said this before, I'll just cheat off of Ted Daniel if he has supersonic hearing. And so he hears everything just so. So, I mean, I maybe get the gist of it, but it's hard to hear in there, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Rotafib, thank you for becoming a new member. We'll add $5 to the total. What was Aiden like today when he was sitting in there and kind of all this action was going on?
You know, I've really gotten to enjoy working with Aiden, and I just feel that people don't give him enough credit. I think he is far more professional than people give him credit for.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. I mean, we've worked side by side for weeks now at this point. First of all, he acts no differently than, you know, someone from Dateline. He acts the same. We're all held to the same standard in there. So he's very professional. But he's also dealing with some outside stuff. You know, when they showed up today, I don't think it was unnatural for him to draw his attention over to that. I mean, these people are there to go after him. So I'm not saying in defensive mode, but in protective mode. It's distracting, but I mean, he holds his own. I just think, you know, I'm not kissing his ass here. And I really don't like when people kind of give me a hard time about that, but I'm going to tell you something, man. He works super, super hard. And he also knows so much about this case. Like, you know, this is the guy that it doesn't matter who it is or who's on the witness list. If he sees somebody in the hallway, he doesn't need to call anybody or look on anybody's Twitter account to find out who it is. He knows who it is because he knows it so well. You know what I mean? And there's nobody else in that box that has taken like the hits the way that he has. Nobody's spent a day in jail for it, for this case and for this story. So, you know, some people say he's cocky and he, you know, he says this is all about him. I don't, but I mean, the sacrifices that he's made to give this some sort of spotlight is tangible and real. And he has the right to have some ownership over it because he's, you know, he's drawn blood over it. It's that whatever. So I think it was a little unnerving for him and he had to really kind of get away from it for a minute. And, you know, he called me over and then he was talking to a stadium. And then, you know, I texted him at one point. I was like, where are you? And he responded, hiding. And when he came back in, I was like, where were you hiding? He's like, I wasn't really hiding. He was like, I just wanted to get the hell out of there. I'm not going to give him an opportunity. So, I mean, I just really, really impressed with his professionalism and how he's handled himself. And, you know, guys got fans coming up to him every 5 minutes. And
I was going to just talk about that. You know, I noticed today he had a reporter that was kind of keep him at length and all that stuff was going on. He's like, he was really nice about it. He said, hey, can I just wrap this up? He goes, I got a lot going on. And the guy kind of understood. And then it was like, he's trying to leave. And then there's a lot of people like, can I get a picture? And I get a picture. I got to say, he didn't falter once. He went over, he talked to everybody. He was very cordial and nice. He shook their hands. And you can see it on his face sometimes. He's got a lot of going on, a lot of people coming at him and wanting kind of a piece of him for a couple of minutes or seconds that they can get. And, you know, it's very interesting to be in the position he is, you know, and
I think another thing, go ahead.
You know, and I get it. Cause sometimes like, you know, and I'm not saying that I'm as big as him, but I'm recognizable now. And I go down there and it'll be like, can I just get a pic? You know, can I get a picture? You know, you're kind of getting pulled. And I'm sure some of the other creators and yourself probably get that when you're down there because we're so recognizable now. But, you know, he's just on a different level, just completely different level. And, you know, he handled it really well today. I have to say he did handle it well. And I'm sure he's like, he doesn't want to fucking go through this. You know, it's just, like I said, just a bunch of bullshit. Let me just read these off really quick. And I had a couple of the donations come in. So please pass the pepper. Wow, look at that. It's a great name. It says, great points, Jess. Karen helping so many find their voices. Great parents to credit. Incredible family. Karen is truly blessed. I'm so proud of her. Thank you so much for that. $5. I had a $10 Cash App come in. So let's add that as well. And I had another 25 come in from Joan on Cash App. So we'll add that, the 10 and 25, and we'll keep that rolling. You gonna say something, Jess?
I forgot.
Okay. Let's play the last bit of this so everybody can kind of see what I was doing here, the jury deliberations. I love this video, by the way, if it's gonna play. Probably not, because my connection is shit tonight. I'm actually a little perturbed tonight. I don't think we're gonna get this to play. Anyway.
I'm dropping my email in the comments. Somebody's asking for it.
Sure.
Reported to a hotel, kept together, but not allowed to deliberate until they were back in the jury room together. So all the deliberation has to take place while all members of the jury are together. If one steps out to the restroom or if there's a break needed, the deliberations stop and resume once all the jurors are back in the room. They will continue to deliberate until they can reach a verdict. And sometimes they can't. Sometimes there's a split. The jury may send out a note saying that they are unable to reach a decision.
Oh, here we go.
And you would think
what happens
that in and of itself would result in a hung jury. But that's not what happens. Instead, the judge will send back a note called an Allen charge or a dynamite charge. The purpose of the dynamite charge is to suggest to the jury that no future jury will receive any other information, that they're in the best position to make a decision and to continue to deliberate to reach a verdict if they can. However, the court's note will also say that whatever they do, the jurors should not do anything that would violate their conscience. In other words, don't vote against your conscience. Don't change your vote simply to change your vote or reach a verdict. But if you can reach a verdict through continued deliberations, try to do so. So the court sends in this Allen charge and the jury will continue to deliberate. A jury can take as long as it wants to deliberate, 2 hours, 2 days, 2 weeks, and the judge is not going to interfere with the jury's right to take as long as they want, as long as they think they're making progress. Only after the jury has continued to deliberate after that note will the judge accept a second note that says we're hung. That'll result in a hung jury or a mistrial. Historically, looking at trials that have had prolonged deliberations, we also understand that there's really no predicting what the outcome is going to be based simply on the length of jury deliberations. So we made this video in response to questions that we got on previous YouTube videos, and we love getting those questions. We'd be happy to answer as many of them as possible. If you have a question about criminal law in Texas or any federal,
I think that's all. Cool. So essentially, we got the first note, if you want to call that. The jurors kicked back today and said we're hung. So that's probably why Bev pushed. And then they'll have another option to say we're hung. And that's essentially it, if I'm understanding that correctly, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Somebody in the comment section was it went past. I went and put whether or not we sequester jurors. And I thought I was looking in my files on things I had saved on my phone, and I thought I had something in there, but it might take me too long to find it. But
Sure.
There's a good story, and I'm going to you can just type in Hernandez claims juror was exposed to extraneous matters. There's a focus on whether or not one of the jurors broke the rules regarding what could and couldn't be considered in the case. This is reported by Ted Daniel, who everybody who knows Ted now, but this is going back to the 2015. Ted Daniel said Hernandez's lawyers have filed with the trial court a motion for post-verdict inquiry respecting a juror's exposure to extraneous matters. And basically it says that Hernandez, this is Aaron Hernandez, by the way.
Yes, right.
Sorry, I forgot to say that.
I'll tell you a story about that case in a second. Go ahead.
Okay. The lawyers believe one of the jurors became aware of evidence other than the evidence properly admitted to the judge, with Hernandez accused of 2 other murders. So remember, there was this other murder. It also meant that Hernandez's lawyers want to be able to question one or more jurors about the situation. Given that the jury wasn't sequestered, so that's probably why I saved this, it would have been easy for any of them to yield to the temptation during a long trial of exploring media reports regarding other allegations against Hernandez. So that kind of leads to the Birchmore thing that we were talking about earlier, at least when it comes to like the cross of the cops, that Lank was involved. So those of you who don't know, Officer Lank in this case was also involved in the Sandra Birchmore case. And Officer Lank is also, I believe, outside of the courthouse every day. If it's the same Lank,
crazy.
Somebody can help me out. So anyway,
crazy.
Just interesting. They weren't sequestered during the Hernandez trial either.
It's crazy. Peggy, wow. Big, huge $200 super chat. Thank you. Appreciate it. And you always come in big and surprised with these big super chats. Thank you. You know that 25% will get kicked back to Karen Reed. And she says, Karen Reed is factually innocent. Oh, wow. Guess what? I think I have my full connection back. Yay. I can turn my camera on now. What I've been wanting to do all frigging night. Yeah, I actually just got my connection back. Maybe that kicked it in. I don't know. I'm kicking everything over here. It's pissing me off. So real quick, Aaron Hernandez. So I used to go to a gym that was down in the industrial park where Odin Lloyd was murdered. So hear this. I show up the morning, early in the morning to the gym that day, and I end up deciding, because I had a little time to kill, driving up, because I remembered, I used to skateboard down here when I was like a little kid. There was the loading docks where we would launch our skateboards out of and do jumps and shit out of there. So I'm like, I want to take a ride down there. I actually ended up going into the lot where Odin Lloyd's body was, but I didn't go in all the way. I just did a turn and came out and then went to the gym. Like an hour later, come out, cop car, and like,
Really?
what the fuck is going on? That is because the kid that was running through the woods that time and came up on Odin Lloyd's body. If I went in deeper into the lot, I probably would have been the first person to see Odin Lloyd, which is insane.
That's wild.
Crazy.
I had a little small world story happen today. I was driving home from court, and as soon as I get to Route 24, I start doing like my follow-up wrap-up, and we're in locked traffic, moving inch by inch by inch, maybe a car at a time, moving. And there's on the side of me, there's an SUV, and it's got a free Karen Reed sticker on the back of it. And I just thought it was kind of weird. Like, here's this car on the side of me. I'm on the road heading home. I'm doing my spaces talking about the Karen Reed trial. And I'm looking over while I'm talking. And I'm like, oh, the sticker, I'm kind of waving. And the window comes down, and it's Kelly Reed. Swear to God, couldn't believe it. We're talking thousands of cars in gridlock traffic. And it's Kelly Reed. So at first, I didn't know it was her. I have terrible, terrible eyesight. If people don't know this, my hearing and eyesight is terrible. So I just see the pink heart glasses now. So I'm going, this is clearly a Karen Reed supporter. So I'm like, oh, it's a Karen Reed supporter. I went, wait, it's Kelly Reed.
Right.
And then there's a family member, actually. His name is Noah, who I've actually known only online for years. And he's, followed my work for a long time, and he's been a fan of mine. And I just had no idea he was related to the Reed family, and he was in the car as well. And I was just like, what am I doing on the highway, and see these people. So, and I was like telling everybody, oh, it's Kelly Reed. And she goes, we're a family, not just Karen Reed supporters. So it was really just small world.
That's really great. Damien, $20. Thank you. Says, much respect from northern Minnesota to you both. Jess is great, and I love when she's unfiltered. Yes,
me too.
When she's unfiltered.
I try to behave, but I mean, so I for those of you who don't know too, and thanks Brian for letting me just say this. I do my Fall River Reporter Spaces event, and it's professional, but sometimes I say I'm going to go over to my side, and I'll just do like a little bit more off the cuff, like more personality. And the other day I was doing one, and I said, listen, I'm going to talk about Karen trial here, and in a minute, if you want to, I'm going to end this one and I'm going to jump over. And like hundreds of people moved over. And I was like, you're all are evil. I was like, you just want me to be mean, and you want tea, and you're ready to just scrap. And so, everybody moved over to the other side. So I try to keep it clean, but I'm a little bit more
you just recently hit 10,000 subscribers, right? On the Fall River Reporter.
I did. I told
that was a goal of yours, right?
Yeah. So when we I work down here. I'm the only journalist correspondent for Fall River Reporter. We have a guy that does all of our main news. So he's in charge of all of our news stories, everything like that. But stories like human interest stories and obviously journalistic investigations and things, that's me. It's my job. And I told my boss, I said, I really think it's worth it for us to go up here. I said, I promise you, I'll make it worth it. And then I opened my mouth and I was like, I'll get you 10,000 followers on Twitter. I had 343 at the time. And that was, I think, back at the last week of April.
Wow.
And I have the screenshot somewhere. And I think we hit over 13,000.
That's so awesome.
It's crazy. Yeah. So everybody's been really, really great. But it's not without I was devastated last night. I had been working on a story for a long time about a death of a student in New Bedford. So those of you who follow me, you probably saw this, but this kid died in January, and I had been working these tips for a long time. And essentially what I have known to be true was confirmed by a small news outlet last night. And I was at Karen Reed all day, and they beat me to it, but it was all my work, and they were able to seal the deal and get an interview with the family. And I missed it, but it's the downside to work in a big case like this. I missed my little stuff, so.
Yeah. Lulu says we need to get to Brian to 30K. Yeah, I hit 29,000 today, which was pretty cool.
Oh, you'll get there. You'll get there.
Good.
Yeah.
And I told you 50 would be great, but that 100,000, I want that play button. And Aiden, I think, is pretty close. The last time.
Yeah, he was at 89,000.
That's awesome.
He was at 89,000.
Yeah, and they send that to you, and that's pretty cool. What's a
play button? What's a play button?
So you get silver play button from YouTube if you hit 100,000 subscribers, and then I think gold you have to like 1 million, which is crazy.
Yeah,
it's insane. Wow, Erin, thank you so much. Big huge super chat just came through. If I can pull it up, and it wants to pull up. There we go. Erin, thank you for the $100. I appreciate that. She said, "Thank you, Peggy. You're awesome. This is for an extra donation to Free Karen Reed. Thanks, Brian and Jess, for keeping us sane." And there's a lot of super chats already flying through right now. Let's see. Audrey, $10. Hang on one second. I get a little delay. She said 2.1 watching and only over 800 likes. Smash the like button. Brian, you've been killing it. And I love Jess Machado. Yes. And make sure to follow Jess on X or Twitter, whatever you want to say it is. Or I don't know, formerly Twitter, at Jess Machado Show or at Jess Machado Show and Fall River Reporter. It's Fall River Report on X though, right?
Yes. Yeah. If you go to Jess Machado Show on X, it's in my bio and it's easier to find me than it is to find them. But
and I'll drop her link before we get off air. Brit Flip. We're gonna go a couple more minutes. I know Jess is tired. I'm tired. We were out in the sun all day and running all over the place. But Brit, $10 said, do you think the jury stayed longer today because the judge said they were leaving earlier other days? Then we find the judge sent notes every day to ask if they wanted to go home. I'll give you your opinion on that. You can take it.
Aiden and I talked about it. His take was if they were given the option to leave at 3:30 and they hadn't done anything, why not just take the out and go home?
Right.
And my theory was she asked them to work and they want to show that they are working. Or they wanted more time to try to come to a decision and they were going to use every minute of it. 4:15 is probably the latest that they could go. I'm pretty sure that they can work until 5 is the latest they would let them stay. That's what there's mixed messages on that. It used to be they could stay at 10 o'clock until 10 o'clock at night. But I heard that they don't do that any longer. So
do you know what the reason is? Or you just don't know?
I'm assuming it has to do with maybe contracts for the court officers. Okay. Contracts for the people that work. I don't know. Maybe, I mean, money, they can't keep courthouses open because it costs money. I don't know. I can try to find out actually on Monday.
Yeah, that's interesting. Maybe safety too. I don't know. Latina says, Trooper Paul testified to the key cycles 1163 showing that 3-point turn, 1162 showing reverse, 1163 is Karen Reed. You guys are amazing because you remember a lot more shit in this than I do. And I do this kind of for a living, but there's some stuff that you all come up with and you're just like sponges and it stays. It's just amazing.
They're so good.
Yeah, Karen Reed truck turning your dad's driveway, going back to, and then 1162 reversing off the Georgia. I mean, who remembers? That's like amazing. Good stuff.
So great.
It's great. Thank you. Let's see. Where are we at? Tina, wow. Canadian super chat, $139.99, which is probably 100 American, but we're going to round it up. We'll go to the 140 American. Judge Bev didn't give enough time for closing arguments. A 1-hour closing arguments for an 8-week trial is ridiculous. I agree. And she botched this trial in so many ways. I'm going to tell you this. I actually know this firsthand. So Microdots has been assisting the Reed camp with a lot of their material, especially their renderings. And I do know this. Microdots was telling me that they prepared, I believe, for a 2-hour or 2.5 hour. No, wait. So they did their closing argument. Jackson timed it, and then it came out to like 2.5 hours. They had to cut it down. They cut it down, I think, to 2 hours, and then all of a sudden they got the 1 hour at the last minute, and then they had to cut it down to 1 hour. But it's all right because they feel like what they did was such a masterful presentation in the end, and they feel confident that that was the best presentation, cutting it to 1 hour. And Alan Jackson did great. I mean, just
I would have liked to have allowed them to do it with no time limit. So think about it. There's a downside to doing too long of a closing. You know what I mean? So I really would have liked to have just seen some hands off with that, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I know that like Microdots was telling me we had all these like videos and slides and presentations, and it was like, you know what? Jackson just got up. They used a couple of slides. He was himself. He was raw. I think he connected with the jury, and it went well. Where Lally just lunchboxed everybody to sleep. Rotafib, $20 says, don't have the big bucks, but motivated by those that do. Keep the faith, everyone. Keep up the great work. Listen, any dollar that we can donate back to Karen Reed, that is the point in all of this, and I appreciate your donation. You didn't have to do that, but I do absolutely appreciate it. All right, let's get up and wrap this up here in a couple minutes. Jess been up since 4. I've been up since 4. We had a long day. All right, Jess, let's just recap here. or thinking forward, what do you think happens on Monday in your opinion?
I'm gonna
Put it all out
venture
there.
to say we're not even gonna have a verdict on Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I think this person or people, because we don't know, I think they're pretty steadfast in their feet right now. They're gonna stand strong with
I
their
mean, you can lock me in. I think we're probably gonna have another we can't come to a decision on Monday, and then it's gonna be up to Judge Bev on what happens. I mean, I don't know if she can send them back again or if she's just gonna allow it. I'm not really sure, or I just don't. That's my prediction, and I don't know what my gut feeling is and why it is that, but I think on Monday we're going to have another hung jury.
Yeah.
What about you?
It made me a little nervous. I think, like you said, and you said this in the middle of the show, the hung jury threw everybody off today. The good thing is, and again, I go back to what you said, you have two options now. You can hang it or you can free her. The good thing is there's people in that room that are on our, I call it our side, that 100% think that she's not guilty by, that's a good thing. It's not like they walked in there and 20 minutes walked out and went, she's guilty. They at least talked about it. They looked at the evidence again. Maybe they looked at the evidence again to convince those people that think that she's guilty. And they're like, dude, are you crazy? Like, do you see what we just looked at? Like, it's so obvious. So maybe they were like, no, we want to look at the evidence again and look it over. So I don't know. I think I'm going to probably go along with you. It's probably going to be another tough day on Monday. If this is it, but again, you don't know. You're getting a weekend for some of these people to go home and think about it. But I'm afraid, because what you said, does it give enough time for someone to go home and change their way of thinking, either in one way or direction? I don't know.
I'm more afraid that one of them is going to drop out. I'm more afraid that. So, I mean, we lost a juror before we started, right? We lost the guy, we lost Mama, and then we lost right after or before closing arguments, I think, before we lost the other juror. We haven't lost anybody since we've started deliberations. If they've been as arduous as it sounds, where they're trying everything and they can't come to a resolution, who's to say that someone is just going to say, I'm done. Peace out. I don't want the burden of this on me anymore. I thought I could handle it. It's too confrontational. I'm out. I'm concerned that is this the fertile ground for losing a juror and then having to go to an alternate and starting all over? And then the other thing is, for me, I personally believe we have seen reasonable doubt multiple times.
Yes.
So
yes,
if someone is holding out to me, or one or two, it is not based on evidence. It is based on personal conviction, you know what I mean? Like, I just think there is a plethora of reasons why you should doubt this, whether it is the dog, whether it is the Apple data, whether it is the how long to die in the cold, whether it's Lucky's testimony. That should put a seed in your mind that, okay, he never saw a body out here. He looks believable. I have to doubt this theory, right? Reasonable doubt has been established, I think, so many times that if somebody can't make a decision, it is based on something else, whether, they're a cop, they're friends with cops, you know what I mean? Who knows? But I think the holdout must be for something other than like the facts.
Yeah. I think it's a great way to end. Great way to end this live.
I'm so tired.
I'm tired. Yeah. And I just want to do this. Another $100 donation.
Oh my God.
Via PayPal. So Elaine, thank you so much.
That's it, you guys. I'm quitting Fall River Reporter and I'm just going to live stream every day and just send me money. This is crazy. You guys are nuts.
Yeah. And John Miller just became a member. So we'll add another $5 to that. And I think
Can you explain something to me? How do people become members to your show? Because maybe somebody's listening for the first time, but like, what do you mean a member? How does that work?
Yeah. So at the bottom of the chat, there's a join button. You can click that. And essentially it's like a monthly support subscription. But what it does is it gives access to those people that are these special members to members only content. I try to get a couple of members only lives, like a couple times a month if I have the time. And it's more exclusive, where I kind of just let myself down a little bit more. It's not as formal as I try to be on the show. and and just kind of hang out and more interact with in a smaller group. So
These people are dropping like hundos in
yeah,
the
I
chat.
appreciate
This
it.
is
Yeah,
ridiculous.
I really do appreciate it. Gen V, thank you for the super sticker, $3. And then Sarah
Jeez,
came in.
even these people just, like,
Yeah,
wow,
thank
that's so
you.
great.
And I want to make sure that everybody understands 25% tonight will go back to Karen Reed. It's been the theme on my show through this entire trial.
I
So
know you say that, but let me just like say this for like a blanket statement here.
Sure.
The work you're doing is work. Somebody like me, I have a job, I get paid a salary. Well, not a salary, but I get a weekly paycheck from my boss. You're doing the same thing I'm doing, and you need to be compensated for it. And I think your viewers understand that. And I love how generous they are with it. I think it's so great.
Yeah, and my whole thing about giving back, if I can do something to help Karen get out of this quicker and support her defense team, it costs them a lot of money to fly in Jackson and Little and use those, use the security teams and the vehicles, and they have to eat, and they have to rent out a place to sit right now while
Oh
this
yeah, it's
verdict is
crazy
coming
money.
in. And
Just their tech guy, tech guy that puts up all their videos. I mean, he's been staying out here all these
Mhm.
months.
And
He's
Alan
from
Jackson has been
California.
out here the whole time. He's been
Yeah, so the
Mr.
guy that
Reed
does
told me.
go
Yeah, go
ahead.
ahead.
The guy that does the video, he's from California, about 50 miles north, I think, of where Jackson lives. So, I mean, these guys have been staying at a hotel all of these weeks.
Yeah.
I can't imagine the money. Over
Yeah,
a
and
million,
Alan
I'm sure.
Jackson's Mr. Reed told me that Alan Jackson's been out here since early April. And
Wow.
he's only I think he's had his family out just a couple of times.
What
And
a
he's got a
life,
young
huh?
daughter. He's got a very young daughter at home that hasn't been able to spend that time with her. He's been here. So
Ah,
it's pretty
crazy.
incredible stuff. So and Sarah said, I want to get you to the 1,000. Thank you. We'll get there
nice.
tonight. I appreciate that. We just had another 10 from John. Brian and Jess, you both do great work. Thank you. Well, no, thank you. So yeah, I think we're at about 9:30, which is total. That's great. We're gonna kick back
Fantastic.
25% of that tonight.
So great.
And we're looking at 232. I'll go to 235 for Karen. We'll kick that up to her. Jess, I want to just say this. It's been a real pleasure getting to know you. I admire you as a journalist. I think you do a fantastic job. I told you today, like if I could just get to your level of how you report and your your way with words and how you kind of navigate the courtroom and social media. I hope I get there at some point someday. You've been a complete inspiration to me, watching you work and coming on here and being so kind and giving me your time, because I know you're tired. And I really do appreciate everything you've done, and it's been a real pleasure like hanging out and doing these with you. So thank you.
I think you're super talented and you do stuff that I can't do. And I think, if I had a perfect world, we could work together. All of us could. I think we all bring some really great things. Like I'm not great with this stuff. You know what I mean? Like I said, I'm a radio girl. So I used to walk in and my system would be set up and I'd turn a mic on and I would talk. And I'm pretty high maintenance with that kind of stuff. What you do, all the work that you put into this, people don't realize it. And I think it's so great. You've made it easy for me, Brian. I get to come in and do what I want to do, which is just talk, share my observations, and you do all the other work. And so it's been great. I love meeting you. I think it's great. And I know we'll see each other again, and I'll be in the studio. You'll come to my studio.
Yeah,
We'll
of course.
be doing this for sure.
Yeah, of course. I'm going to do this real quick. Tyrone, $5, just capped it off. That will get us up to the 235. Thank you. I'll make my donation. You know how I'll do it. I go to the Karen Reed Defense Fund. It'll say LTL Media Chat Raiser and the date on there, and the total amount will be 235. I'll take the receipt. I'll post it on the my Facebook, LTL Media. You can find me there, and also on the YouTube community tab. Jess, to let everybody know where they can find you if they haven't found you.
So tired. What time do we think I'm going to stay in bed till tomorrow? I never
this, we're
sleep
outta
past
here.
like 7 o'clock on the weekends, but I think tomorrow it's like a 9 a.m. day. Go ahead. So on Facebook, not Facebook. Well, Facebook. Fall River Reporter or New Bedford Guide. My stories are cross-posted there. On Instagram, we have a New Bedford Guide Instagram account. We have a lot of reels and videos up there that get like, hundreds of thousands of views. So it's a really great option. And then obviously on Twitter, Jess Machado Show, which you can see right there. And that'll link you over to Fall River Report. We also have a New Bedford Guide Twitter account or X account as well. You can check that one out. But it's usually duplicates of all of our stories. So, but that's it. And it's so great. Look at all these comments. I'm obsessed with everybody.
Yeah. It's great. And JC, thanks. You just gifted in 10 memberships. I hate to go, but Jess is tired. I'm tired. We're going to get out of here and we'll kick out the 235 to Karen tonight. Jess, again, thank you so much. Thank you for doing this. And, look,
Thanks,
we'll check in. Maybe we can do another one of these.
You're going to be there on Monday?
I got to look at my schedule. I'll text you and let you know.
Okay.
All right, everybody.
All right,
have a good night. I'm sorry my camera didn't work, but we got it towards the end of the show, and we'll get it worked out.
Show the shirt one more time before we go.
Yes.
You should show the shirt.
My Action Jackson.
Fantastic.
Shirt. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Great. And on the back, it says his famous quote during the hearing. He said, "If it walks like a duck, it talks like a duck. It's a duck." So really good stuff. Unfortunately, I can't mass produce these because I don't have the right to it. But anyway. We're out of here. Good night, everybody. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And go check out Jess Machado. She's fucking awesome. If you're not connected with her and watching her bang away on Twitter, then you're missing out. All right, everybody. We're going to get out of here. Good night. Bye.
Good night.
Take the change and set the track.